What's up guys, and welcome to the final installment of best new running shoes for 2024. Today we're going to be covering all of those great new racing shoes with the goal of helping you decide which of these is going to be best for you. Now, over the past year, we've seen some awesome shoes hit the market like the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, the Nike Vaporfly Next% 3, and this is a very competitive market segment. In 2024, we're seeing a lot of brands copy the formula of these two hits right here, which is PEBA, tall stack, aggressive rocker, and full carbon fiber plate. There's not a ton of differentiation out there between some of these models, so my goal here today is to help you understand what those key differences are and which of these will be best for you. Alright guys, before we get into it today, if you haven't checked out the Running Shoe Matcher tool yet, go to runningshoematcher.com. This is a really cool tool I built that matches you with the best shoe for you based on your goals and preferences. So you can go in there, answer 5 questions about what type of shoe you're looking for, whether you like your shoe soft or firm, whether you want a tempo shoe, a race day shoe, or a daily trainer, and we'll match you with the best shoe for you. So it's live right now and it's free. You can check it out at runningshoematcher.com and I'll put a link in the description below. Alright, let's get into it. Guys, so first up today, we have the Nike Alphafly 3. Now, if you are a fan of the Nike lineup, you know that they have 2 shoes, the Vaporfly and the Alphafly. So Vaporfly is their shoe that uses a full-length bed of the ZoomX midsole. Then Alphafly has ZoomX, but with those forefoot pods up in the forefoot. So key difference in version 3 here is that they've gone with a more Vaporfly-like construction of the bottom, where they've completely smoothed out the outsole to have it be one continuous piece, which should be a friendlier and smoother ride for most runners out there. Now, the headline of this one is better for everyone, because not only have they smoothed out the ride, which should be a little bit friendlier for heel strikers, they've widened up the last a touch too in the midfoot and forefoot, should be friendlier for wider footed runners, and then they've also lightened up the weight, which benefits everyone, but namely elites who can get the most weight savings over the course of a run. Now, despite these changes, which make it friendlier for recreational runners, it's still going to be best unlocked by those runners who can pop off those pods in the forefoot, those who run with strength at the end of a marathon and can midfoot or forefoot strike for the duration of a race. So it is going to be priced at $285, so $25 more expensive than the Vaporfly here. So unless you are going to be using the benefit of those pods up in the forefoot, Vaporfly is still probably a better choice for you, and Saucony Endorphin Pro 3 is probably the better choice for most runners out there. So this one is coming January 4th, 2024. Alright guys, next up we have the Diadora Gara. Now this is Diadora's first carbon fiber plated marathon racing shoe, and they followed the formula of all those popular race day shoes on the market. So they've gone with a full PEBA midsole here, full carbon fiber plate, and they've aggressively angled it up in that toe area for fast toe offs. Now the key selling point of this Diadora shoe is that the angle of that carbon fiber plate is a lot more aggressive than anything out there on the market, and they've claimed to have lab tested this to be more efficient than every single shoe that's widely available, everything other than the Evo Pro, which came out after they did this test. So of course, those performance benefits are going to be unlocked if you can run with strength for the duration of the run. So if you are a fast runner, this will be a great shoe for you. Also, if you like the styling here and that's important to you, this is going to be a great shoe for you. This is my favorite looking of all of these new marathon racing shoes. I like it better than the Saucony, the Nike, the Adidas. There's no other shoe that looks as clean as this, and that's important to me, showing up to that race line feeling confident in not only how I'll perform, but in how I look. So with the performance and the styling benefits you're going to get here, you are going to be paying a price. This one comes out January at a price of $300. Alright guys, next up we have the Brooks Hyperion Elite 4. So in contrast to those first 2 shoes I highlighted, this one does not use PEBA. This uses Brooks's DNA Flash V2. It's a revision. They have changed the midsole formula a little bit from the V1, but the compound is a supercritical TPEE and EVA blend. So before it was supercritical EVA, now they've added some TPEE in here, which is the same compound that Adidas uses in their Light Strike Pro. So this is going to have a little bit of a firmer feeling than those PEBA based shoes. They've also scaled the thickness of the carbon fiber plate here, which is a difference in some of those other shoes. So it will be thicker based on how big the shoe is. So a size 12 men's shoe will have a thicker carbon fiber plate than a size 7 men's shoe. So this could be beneficial for bigger runners, especially because this TPEE EVA blend is going to be firmer than the Nike ZoomX PEBA. So if you are a bigger and taller runner and you still want to have a carbon fiber plated shoe for race day, but find ZoomX a little bit too marshmallowy for you, this one could be a good choice. This weighs 7.8 ounces, so a little bit heavier than the Nike and the Saucony, and it's priced at $250 coming February 1st. Alright guys, next up we have the Ultra Vanish Carbon 2. So this is going to be the lone zero drop carbon fiber plated race day shoe on the market. And the key changes here are that they've added a little bit more stack and they've lengthened the carbon fiber plate so that we now have a full length plate in the midsole. So V1 had 33 in the heel and the forefoot. V2 is going up to 36 millimeters in the heel and the forefoot for that 0 millimeter drop. And they've also changed the place in the forefoot where they measure that 36 millimeters. So it's going to be a little bit less foam in the toe area. Also, there's a more aggressive rocker here, so it will give the feeling of putting you on your toes, having maybe a 3 to 2 millimeter drop versus V1, which felt very flat and not as aggressive as some of those other race day shoes. So they're still using Ego Pro here, which is not a PEBA compound, but they have lightened it up a little bit. According to them, lightened it by 17%, which allows them to put a little bit more rubber coverage on the bottom of the shoe while still maintaining a pretty lightweight. So if you want a more durable race day shoe, this will be it. If you want a zero drop shoe, this will be it. If you don't need zero drop, I wouldn't go for the shoe, but it is going to be a great option for runners out there who don't get along well with that 8 millimeter, 10 millimeter drop that we see a lot of the popular race day shoes carrying. So this one comes out in March 2024 and it's $260. Alright guys, next up we have the New Balance SC Elite V4. Now, I wanted to highlight this one directly after the Ultra because it's another shoe with a 4 millimeter drop. So while New Balance has made some big changes here, they decided to keep that 4 millimeters. They said they tested out using 8 millimeters here, but 4 was the number that worked for the majority of runners who they tested this with. So the big key headline change, not to bury the lead here, is that New Balance has switched to a PEBA midsole compound. So fuel cell, it used to be a supercritical TPU EVA blend, which I absolutely loved in the Rebel V4. They've now switched it over to a PEBA, so putting it right on par with the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3 and Nike Vaporfly. So older versions of the shoes were loved by a lot of folks because they weren't as aggressive as a lot of those popular race day shoes out there. New Balance actually got an award for having the most accommodating super shoe on the market, but they wanted to have something faster and more aggressive. That's what they're going to be offering here. I personally don't see a huge difference in this between the shoes I already have, namely the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3 and the Nike Vaporfly Next% 3. So if you are like me and you already have these two shoes or some version of one or two of these in your rotation, I don't see a place for the SC Elite V4 in 2024 for you. Unless you've gone through all of your super shoes and you want to try something different, this could be a good option. I do think it's going to have a little bit of a wider base than the Vaporfly, but the Pro 3 offers that. So if you want to try something different, SC Elite could be for you. Not going to be hugely different than any of the other top options on the market, and it is going to be coming in at a $250 price point, so it doesn't have that discount that we saw in the last generation, which was priced at $230. So this one will be coming soon, February 1st. Alright guys, next up we have the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro 2. So this is the shoe with the wildest midsole geometry. It has that aggressive heel cutout, which allows it to put more foam in the midfoot than a lot of the popular race day shoes, because with the World Athletics rule, they measure the heel stack, and that is what needs to be below 40 millimeters. So here, Mizuno goes with above 40 millimeters in the midfoot, which gives it a little bit more of an aggressive feel than some other carbon fiber shoes. The key changes here are that they've added more into that top layer of foam. So this uses a dual foam construction where the top layer is the high energy return, softer, bouncier foam. The bottom layer is a little bit more firm. They've also changed the geometry of the plate to make this shoe a little bit easier on your legs, but still have that fast, aggressive feeling. So at $250, this shoe is going to be best for those runners who can, like the Alphafly, unlock the benefit of that midfoot foam. So if you're running with strength toward the end of a race, this is going to be good for you. For 3 to 4 hour marathoners, I would not recommend this shoe. It is definitely not for heel strikers. There are tons of better options on the market for that. But if you want an alternative to the Alphafly and are a forefoot to midfoot striker and want to try something a little bit different, then the Wave Rebellion Pro 2 is the shoe for you. Alright guys, next up we have the Salomon S Phantasm. Now, this is a shoe that describes to me the problem with the market right now. Carbon fiber plate, PEBA, aggressive rocker, but the difference here, I could not tell you. This is a shoe that nails all of the elements that are important to having a fast race day shoe, but in terms of what the points of differentiation are and what's gonna make this a better option for you than something like the Vaporfly or the Saucony Endorphin Elite, I could not tell you. So this is priced at $275, which is the same price as the Saucony Endorphin Elite, and for that, it's offering an extremely similar formula. It has a firm PEBA foam, it has that full-length carbon fiber plate, 37.5 in the heel, 29 29.5 in the forefoot. If you just want to try something different from a new brand, if you've never tried Salomon, then this could be a good choice for you. But at $275, I'm having a hard time seeing why anyone would choose this shoe over one of the more established shoes, even over something like the Adios Pro 3, which also has a little bit more of a firmer foam. Now, I read a few reviews on the shoe to see if I was crazy, and none of them pointed out anything that was different or special about this shoe either. So unless you're a media member getting this $275 shoe sent to you for free, unless you are a Salomon athlete who's getting this shoe sent to you for free, I'm having a hard time seeing why anyone would choose this over any of those popular race day shoes out there. Maybe one of you in the comments could correct me. You guys are always great at correcting me. So if you know why anyone would choose the S-Lab Phantasm 2 over a Nike or a Saucony or an Adidas, please let me know, because as of right now, I have no recommendation for this shoe. All right, guys, next up we have the Salomon S-Lab Spectur. Now, in contrast to that Salomon Phantasm, this one does have huge points of differentiation here that make this one a great option that I think a lot of runners are going to love. So this shoe is designed for 3 to 4 hour marathoners. It's designed to help runners who aren't elites have the exact formula they need to hit their PRs on race day, and it's been tested by over 200 recreational runners to do just that. So the differences here are that instead of using 100% PEBA, it has a bottom layer of firmer EVA foam. It also has a winged carbon fiber plate which wraps the heel into the shoe, provides a little bit more of a stable lockdown. And then the way they've contoured the foam on the heel area of the shoe, you can see it's almost like a horse's hoof here. Really cool setup, provides more stability and planted landings. So this is a similar setup to what we see in something like the Boston 12, but the difference here is that they have gone with the 100% carbon fiber plate, and this one was designed specifically for racing, not for training. So 38 millimeters in the heel, 30 millimeters in the forefoot for that 8 millimeter drop. This one is going to be coming in May 2024 for a $250 price point. All right, guys, next up we have the Puma Fast Star Nitro 2. Now, this one has that bifurcated midsole design like we're familiar with from the Alphafly 1 and 2. You can see the heel area in the back is separated from the front platform landing area in the front. This is the fast propulsive shoe in that Puma Marathon Racer rotation. So they have 2 marathon racing shoes. They have the Deviate Elite, and they have this one. This one is for runners who can really put a lot of power down into their stride. So they've gone with a bit of a firmer foam, a more aggressive plate, and of course this absolutely wild styling that we're seeing here. Whereas something like the Vaporfly is really great if you're a lightweight runner who shuffles along, doesn't put a lot of force down into the shoe, maybe higher cadence. This one is really designed for runners who are strong, big, and powerful. I'm interested to try this one out as a runner with a low cadence who can run with a lot of force, and I also can run with some strength toward the end of the races. Now, when looking at the shoe, of course, you will see that the carbon fiber plate protrudes from the front of the toe here. That is a key design feature that makes this look a lot different from everything else in the market. And what that does, according to Puma, is it lengthens your stride by having the plate jut out like that. It propels you forward, and as you're picking up your foot, it pushes you just a little bit more than if that plate weren't there. So this is not banned by World Athletics yet. I did ask them that. It's completely legal, but we'll see if this does have a huge effect on runners' mechanics. Maybe we'll see that plates have to be ending at the toe area. So this might be a good new race day shoe for me or other runners like me who are maybe above 150 pounds, maybe pushing 5'10" to 6 feet, but who can run pretty consistently throughout the race. So this one is coming out February 22nd. I believe it's going to be $250 US. It's 260 euros. It's got 40 millimeters in the heel, 32 millimeters in the forefoot for that classic 8 millimeter drop that we do tend to see in these marathon racing shoes. And it is a little bit on the heavier side, coming in the 8-ounce range. So not the lightest option, but it's also not designed for the lightest runners. It's designed for powerful runners who can get the most benefit out of the plate geometry and the way that the midsole is set up here. All right, guys, next up we have the Topo Specter 2. Now, I did want to highlight a non-plated option here because not all runners like running with plates, and this is going to be the best one for the half marathon and marathon distance. So this uses 100% PEBA in the midsole. There's no plate, but we still get a tall 37 millimeter stack in the forefoot, and then there's 32 millimeters in the heel for that Topo 5 millimeter drop, which should be friendlier for a lot of runners' mechanics. So besides not having a plate, what's most exciting about this one to me is you do get that 100% PEBA midsole. There's no other shoes on the market that have 100% PEBA at this stack in a racing shoe. Yes, there's the Nike Invincible, but that one is most certainly not a racing shoe. That one is a trainer. This one comes in at 7.6 ounces, which is right in line with those carbon fiber plated shoes on this list. But what's not in line with the carbon fiber plated shoes on this list is the price point, which is $165, which undercuts a lot of these shoes by $100. So if you don't want to play, if you want a super versatile shoe that you can do training and racing in, this would be a great choice. I also think this is a great choice for some runners out there who are running maybe their first half marathon. They want something to do training and racing in. They want something that they could do their everyday miles in. This is a great do-it-all shoe that you can add in. If you had this and one other shoe in your rotation as a daily trainer, that would be a great lineup for a runner who wants to maintain a smaller roster of shoes. So this one is coming in August 2023. I will definitely be covering it on the channel, so keep a lookout for that. All right, guys, next up here, we have the New Balance SC Pacer V2. Now, this is a shoe that in previous generations was designed as a 5K and 10K racer, but New Balance is positioning it as a lower stack option in the marathon and general racing market for this V2. So, like the SC Elite, it has a 100% PEBA midsole, but the difference is that the stack in the heel is only 33 millimeters versus that taller stack that we get in the Elite. So if you're a smaller, more efficient runner, or if you've just never been able to get away from the feeling of those lightweight, non-plated shoes that we used to race in, maybe you like to race in something like the Convara or the Saucony Sinister, this would be a good choice as an alternative to one of those old school racing flats that still offers the modern tech and energy return you get from the PEBA and the plate. I also think this is going to be an excellent racing model, so if you do like to race in a higher stacked carbon fiber plated shoe, this is a great choice for any of those fast interval days. Also, of course, for 5K and 10K racing, going to be very competitive in the market with shoes like the Adidas Takumi Sen also getting a refresh for 2024. So this one comes in fall 2024, and with that reduced stack, you also get a reduced price. It's going to be priced at $200, which is cheaper than the 40 millimeter racers we see here, but more expensive than the 5K and 10K racers, which tend to be priced at around $160 to $180 if you look at shoes like the Saucony Sinister, Adidas Takumi Sen, Nike Streakfly, and Hoka Silo Road. All right, guys, next up here at Speak of the Devil, we have the Adidas Takumi Sen 10. Now, this is getting a complete refresh from the 8 and 9, which only saw an upper update. So while it looks extremely similar to what we see in the 8 and 9, there are some key differences here. Namely, Adidas is moving from glass fiber rods, which we had in the 8 and 9, to carbon fiber rods here in the 10. So it's going to be stiffer, it's going to be more responsive, and it's going to be more of a true racer, which is what Adidas really wants to do with this model. A lot of runners used it for training. Adidas wants this to be a viable lower stack racing option similar to that SC Pacer V2. So they've also added more rubber up in the forefoot to help with cornering, and they've gone with the latest version of the Light Strike Pro midsole. This is still not PEBA, it's supercritical TPEE. It has a little bit more of a firm ride than PEBA foams tend to have, but very fast, very fun, very bouncy. This is the shoe that for me is the purest and simplest racing shoe out there. It's the shoe that most makes me want to run fast in my rotation. All right, guys, next up here we have the TYR Valkyrie Elite. It's their carbon fiber race day shoe that also uses a PEBA midsole, which is very similar to what we see in the Saucony Endorphin series. It's a beaded PEBA compound. So key differences here, yes, they are using PEBA, yes, they are using a rocker, yes, they are using a carbon fiber plate, but the difference is that they've placed the rocker up really near the toes. They've also given it a wider base. So this is designed for former athletes who tend to be forefoot strikers, but need a little bit more of stability and firmer platform than elite runners. So TYR is a brand that's gone deep in the gym and CrossFit space over the past few years. So their entries into the performance running segment reflect their commitment to that segment of athletes. I mentioned this in a previous video, but I love that they have a clear vision for who their products are for. If we go back down this list, brands like Salomon, Diadora aren't really doing that with their shoes. So it's great to see TYR understand the market for these shoes and design around that ideal customer profile. So this one is going to be priced at $250. All right, guys, finally, some other shoes that I don't have all the information on. First one is the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. I don't have all the specs on this one. I don't have the release date and price. We do know there's likely going to be Power Run HG, at least on the top layer, and that it's likely going to have a very similar ride to the Pro 3. So still friendly for recreational runners while able to pick up the pace for those running sub 3-hour marathons. Now, at TRE, I also didn't get any information on the ASICS Metaspeed series. ASICS was only showing showing the Gel Nimbus in the Nova Blast. I didn't see anything on a Saucony Sinister revision, so I'm not sure if we're going to see a Sinister 2 in 2024 or 25. Same thing with the Endorphin Elite. Saucony had new colorways of the Endorphin Elite 1 there. There's nothing that I saw indicating that we'd see the Elite 2 in 2024. Also, I don't have any information on the Adidas Adios Pro 4. They weren't publicly showing it at TRE. It's possible we will see a debut of it or some teasers of it in 24, but they weren't making it a mainstay of their lineup. However, Olympic trials are coming up in February, so I'm sure we will see a ton of new racing models then. Also, Tracksmith told me that they are debuting a new model at the Olympic trials in February, so it's likely we will be getting a Tracksmith race model in 2024. I also didn't get any information on the Nike Streakfly 2 or Streakfly Elite shoes that we've seen on the feet of a lot of pro runners. I know some folks were wearing it at the New York City Mile earlier this year, so it's likely we are getting a new Streakfly variant in 2024, but Nike has not publicly given any information on it, and we're not pushing it at TRE. And from Hoka, we didn't get any information on the Rocket X3 or that other shoe we've seen floating around on Instagram, what people are calling the CLO X, which has that bifurcated midsole like we see in the Nike Alphafly. So we're probably gonna see that one coming in 2024. I'm guessing back half of the year, but that is the latest that I have from Hoka. Finally, Asics S4. I know a lot of you are asking about this, and as of now, Salomon is going to be the first shoe coming to the US market with a dedicated race model for recreational runners running slower than 3-hour marathons. Asics S4 is the same thing, but it's only in Japan. I asked them if they're bringing it to the US. They gave me no response that was useful whatsoever, so I do not know, but that is the latest we have from the Asics camp. All right, guys, so there you have it. Those are all of the best new race day shoes coming for 2024. Let me know in the comments what you are most excited about. I personally can't wait to get those Alphafly 3s on my feet come January. I'm also excited to hopefully get the Diadora Gara just based on looks alone. All right, guys, as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing, and I'll be back tomorrow with another video.